Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of big fans giving you the news discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm your writer.
Also joining us is Evgeni.
Hi, I am Dr. Argent, and they've been keeping me away from this podcast with apples.
Okay. And also joining us, long time since we've had you on the show, it's Verónica. Hey.
Hey, I'm Cheyenne Sedai, and yes, it's been a long time. I don't even know how long, but as you can tell from my background, this is one of my two usual backgrounds. I'm on my year abroad in the UK.
Hell
so.
Yeah.
I just assumed they stole your background. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
Just like...
So, this is a green screen, actually, for Verónica. That's what
sure.
you chose. And I'm Chaos, and today we're going to talk about the big news of adaptations that Apple TV is going to be, you know, they have rights to the Cosmere. Maybe some stuff's actually going to happen here. So that's pretty exciting.
But first, I believe there is show and tell
There
to do.
is show and tell. So a while back, a few months ago, there were these editions that were being sold on TikTok that were like a starter pack for Brandon stuff, which was interesting. But now they're on the Dragonsteel store, and I have them. And so we have the...
So nice.
This is such a sick cover.
Yeah, I love the sense of depth you get
Mhm.
with that one in particular.
Yeah,
And
I think the Emperor's Soul one is doesn't have quite as much depth. I think the Mistborn one has this one has a good sense of depth. But I do think the Mistborn one...
Mistborn is the best.
Yeah, this is one of the best Mistborn covers that they've ever
And
done.
for
Mhm.
anyone who attended Nexus 2025, the actual like physical papercraft was there. Obviously, it might be difficult for you to go back in time and check it out if you hadn't. But
Yeah,
if you did,
you know,
you can revisit your memories and enjoy them.
I'm sure that'll be the top choice of time travel to do that in particular. Yes.
I always wanted to go back to the Tailored Realities Nexus.
Yeah, that's the one. What other show and tell do we got?
Yeah, so one of the things I have gotten to do while I've been here is just before the holidays, I went up to Edinburgh, which is relatively close to where I'm studying. And it was really cool. I love the city, everything else. But the reason I was there was because one of my other favorite authors, Rebecca Kwong, was there for a signing and discussion for her latest book, Catabasis. And this is my signed edition.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Hell yeah. Nice.
That's
She
an author's
also-
that's a signature of someone who needs to sign a lot.
Yep. She also answered my question, which was so fun. I was so happy. And people who are in the books channel on the Discord know this because I screamed about it at the time.
Look, in the Brandon fandom, getting questions answered, that's so common, but less common these days. So it is very
Less
cool
common
when
these days.
when your
Yeah.
question gets answered. But I feel like for other fandoms, you know, they don't have a thing that's Arcanum with 16,000 words of Brandon. So it's, you know, it's a little
Oh,
different.
But they
brother, we
could.
haven't-
They could.
They
haven't-
could.
So
we haven't been at 16 for a while.
Oh, yeah,
no,
we're like at
we
17,
are at 16.
right?
Never mind. No, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, it's like
Ah.
16.
Take that,
300.
Evgeni.
We have 555 audio sources. Right
That's actually
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
I also have a little bit of show and tell.
Excellent.
As some of you might know, if you are keeping an eye on my media consumption, I've been a big fan of Expedition 33, Claire Obscure. I think it's a great
Because
game.
it's
I
a
think it's
good
a great
game.
story. Yeah. Great music, everything great. And the kind of collectors, the monolith editions, started shipping recently. And those came with a few goodies. There's like a little journal, there's like a little art book, there is a couple other things. And one of those couple other things is this monolith
That is very
statue.
cool. That's very
Uh,
cool.
It is
that is-
cool.
Not only a statue, it is also a music box that you can wind up, and it plays kind of the main theme of the game in a, well, it sounds like a music box. You know, it's not. Yeah.
Which we realize doesn't go through Argent's microphone for some reason, so we're not going to demo it now.
We've had a vision from the spiritual realm of some other version of this podcast.
It definitely wasn't me hitting record and messing up the settings, but we only got 10 minutes in, so it's not a complete disaster. God, that would have been so bad if it was the whole episode. That would be so bad.
Could you imagine redoing like a bunch of actual play and because your audio?
God. This happened to Diceborn.
Yeah, we had to record half the episode.
Oh God!
Oh my
Nightmare
God.
fuel. Anyway, so the news. I did a video. You can check it out if you don't want this episode of us talking. But we're going to discuss the news that Apple TV.
Also,
yes,
everyone in the known universe has made a video about this.
Hey, my video did quite well for the channel, so there you go.
No, I think people are hungry for everyone reporting on the same paragraph.
Well, we're going to do a podcast on a paragraph, good sir. Apple TV has rights to the Cosmere to do screen adaptations. They're going to do theatrical Mistborn, Stormlight show after. It's pretty
My understanding is that the Stormlight show is less clear than the feature films. So like that's what they're thinking. Right,
they also have a producer attached to the Stormlight ones. They said there was Teresa King.
Sure, but it can still go as they can still pivot to.
Sure. This is super early, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Then the other key thing, Brandon will have unprecedented control, according to Hollywood Reporter, which... good outlet, though it was funny that they misspelled Adaptation. Is objectively funny in their article. That's fine. That's how you know it's not AI.
Reading so fast, I didn't tell.
It's good. But
no, look, misspelling Adaptation is the most Mistborn thing you can do. Okay?
It is true.
Yeah.
If you don't know, it was misspelled in the first edition of Hero of Ages. But
I wanna stay on the unprecedented access or control for just a moment. Because
do you want to quote the thing that they said?
I want to quote exactly.
Yeah, sure. Good thing you can go to the news channel and get all the news for once. We're on top
which I
of
should
things.
have done instead of trying to navigate the Hollywood Reporter.
That's insane.
Oh,
that is an insane. Crazy.
It gives the author rarefied control over screen translations, yada yada. He will write, produce, and consult, and will have approvals.
And they said this is more than Rowling and George R. Martin.
This is a level of involvement that not even JKR and Grum enjoys.
Which is insane.
It's insane. Let's start with the fact that George Martin was a TV writer for a long time. He was involved in the industry for a long time. So it would have made sense to give Martin a lot of control. Brandon is not a screenwriter, so giving him this much control says a lot. And this was what Brandon was looking for. He's talked about this in updates. He's talked about this, and State of the Sandersons. Every time the topic of Hollywood comes up, this is what Brandon says. I want control. I want a true partner in the adaptations. But it is kind of insane to give this much control to somebody who hasn't really been in the industry.
It's been very interesting watching Brandon's stance on adaptations evolve over the course of his career.
Yes.
Because 10, 15 years ago, he was like, oh yeah, I'm totally willing to have the chance of a bad adaptation just to have an adaptation. And that has now morphed into him wanting significant control to make sure it's done right. And I'm like, I just don't know, Brandon. You are a very talented storyteller. You're a very talented writer. Different skill set.
And
yes,
we will 100%. This is one of our big topics, of course. Yeah. It is funny though that Brandon has gone to, Hollywood now. And Hollywood doesn't know what to do when I don't need their money. Just to wrap up the news and then we'll get right into discussion. Brandon said on a Reddit thread that he will spend the next 5 months full time working on the Mistborn screenplay.
It's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time for Brandon. And then he did say that there was going to be a stream, which is why I scheduled this, but there wasn't a stream.
Got canceled.
Yeah, there's not going to be a stream before Sunday, so this episode will still be fine. That's the important part. So I guess let's start. How are you all feeling? I think among all the excitement, there's a lot of hype, and I think the 17 shard spaces are a little more apprehensive. I think that makes sense as being very book focused and super fans. So that all makes sense. Thank you for all your comments on my video. That was great. How are you feeling?
Like that sounds bad. That I'm just like, whatever. Part of that is because we have gone through this before. There has been the big announcement of DMG has bought the rights to the Cosmere as a whole. Like, there was like a big to-do about Dark One having this huge multimedia push.
That is true. That is true. It was in like a
So,
big,
like,
yeah.
So like, yes, like this is exciting. Like Apple TV is like, I don't have Apple TV, so like I can't comment on any of their stuff. They look like they have good stuff. They have stuff I want to watch. It's just I have never gotten around to getting a subscription to watch
Literally
any stuff. But I've heard great things. So it's like, okay, like, but until stuff is actively in production, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago, Brandon was like, I would be surprised if, like, this time next year that there's not filming. And, well, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it's like-
yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be very exciting once stuff does happen, whether or not that is part of this or like 10 years down the road when it finally ends up happening, who knows? But
production takes a long time, guys.
It does.
It really does.
I do think it's inevitable. And it's just a matter of, you know, how many times are we gonna need to stumble and fall before we actually get to the finish line with one of these things? That said, this is making a lot more noise than previous announcements, which were, you know, kind of more in-housey, more, hey, Brandon is saying that something is happening, but like in the larger media world, it's pretty siloed. Silo, one of the shows on Apple TV.
That's true. Apparently very good. I haven't seen it.
And also, you know, Apple is a big name.
Huge name. Yeah. Absolutely.
This is
they probably wouldn't stamp their name on something that they weren't serious about.
Yeah.
Especially with the way the Hollywood Reporter framed this as a huge bidding war. I mean, which we kind of knew, right? Like Brandon had talked about this on the State of the Sanderson and like various updates, and whenever he said like I've been in Hollywood, but there's like he's met with all the with most of the execs at the highest levels of Hollywood from all the companies, and he had his choice. I don't know how much of this resembled like those book auctions.
I imagine it's so much more crazy with Hollywood. I'll be totally honest.
But probably a lot crazier.
Yeah.
And Brandon ended up going with Apple. So, like, if this was that level of competitive, I don't see a reason why it would be likely to fall apart. It feels different than that DMG announcement, even if that was a step up from the previous stuff that had been going on.
Yeah.
It has a different air in general.
I'm sure this is a ludicrous amount of money is changing hands and making this happen, right?
I mean, it's you know, it's probably like an option, and so the real money is gonna come from the royalties, which I assume are part of the deal. But
I mean, it is possible that Brandon is getting less money for the deal in exchange for the involvement and things, and I'm sure that's in writing. I'm sure that's all very well laid out, right, in whatever contract they have.
And like, I think it says a lot just how much attention this has been getting all over the place, even from outside fantasy spaces. Like, Rosemary was commenting that she was getting news about it in Portuguese because she just moved to Portugal. Like, that says a lot.
Yeah.
I think I'm cautiously optimistic, though, is where I've landed on this. And I'm sure if we don't talk about it in a dedicated section of the episode later on, we'll at least touch on the idea that a lot of Brandon related stuff is also colored by the work aspect of things for us, because we run a community, we run a website, we run a server, all of these things. And so any announcement, no matter how exciting it is in isolation, is always going to come with a little bit of baggage attached for us, which is, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just it shifts things a little bit.
Yeah.
Even outside of that, I am trying to be positive about it, in part because Brandon seems positive about it. He seems excited. I want to, I don't want to be, fantasy and sci-fi adaptations flop and they fail. And, I think that scene has been changing. Obviously, we had we had Lord of the Rings, and then we had a decade of people chasing the Lord of the Rings. But I think Rings was exception, it was not setting up a standard. It was, this is the end goal in terms of adaptations.
Yeah, it kind of is, though. If we get something that
is.
quality,
it
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, people are still trying to crack that formula. Television has gotten better, I want to say, in recent years. I know there's a lot of praise for Fallout. Obviously, at least the first half of Game of Thrones was this golden standard for fantasy TV adaptation. There's a few others. And so I don't want to be a doomer about it. I want to go, okay, there's an opportunity here. There's a possibility, especially with Brandon's deep involvement. Yes, he's not a screenwriter. Hopefully, presumably professional people will be looking over his stuff, and it will be a collaborative effort. But he knows his stories. He knows his worlds. He knows, he's not going to cut things or change things because he doesn't understand the source material. He might cut things or change things because it's a different medium.
Yeah.
But the heart of the story is going to be true to itself. So we'll see. It's a little abstract at the moment.
Very abstract.
We have nothing concrete.
Yes.
But I'm trying to stay closer to the positive side of things.
Yeah, it's as meh as I am, I do want this to succeed and do well, because I want to go see Mistborn in the theaters. It's just I have a limited amount of energy, so I'm not going to be hyping it up at this stage. I don't. I'm an old man at this point. Let the younger folks be excited, and then I'm saving my energy.
Speaking of younger ones, Verónica, what do you think? You gonna hype us up here?
I think
as a resident young adult on this podcast.
Yeah, on one hand, I am excited to see these books on screen. I mean, they're books that lend themselves very well to the screen in terms of the visuals and the plots and all these things. You read a Mistborn fight, the end of the first book of the Final Empire, you're oh my god, I can see this playing out as a movie in my head, or any number of famous Stormlight sequences, people were talking about all these examples in the Discord server, oh my god, imagine what it's gonna be like when insert sequence here, because there were a lot of those. The end of the Way of Kings, the Wise Mine Unchained, the sequence with Adolin and Words of Radiance. There's a million examples of those. And so that makes me very excited, because those are things that have only ever been in my mind before, and seeing them on the screen is always different. It's always so cool to see how they're realized. As a fan, I'm very excited. I've gotten to have this experience with other things I'm a fan of. I mean, I am notably an enjoyer of the Wheel of Time adaptation. There were so many cool things that we got to see there. I am sad of what we missed because the show got cancelled, but there were so many cool things that we got to see from those books that
Oh yeah,
were done very well.
One of the episodes in season 3 is one of the best episodes of television
of
I've ever
TV.
seen.
Yes, it was amazing. I've gotten to have this with Percy Jackson, which is still continuing, and so we'll get to my favorite books in the series. But like, there's been so many amazing moments already. Like, just at the end of season 2 recently, they had like the preview for next season, which they're in the middle of filming right now.
Oh, nice. That's
and
good.
They had the open, because they filmed 2 and 3 back to back with the break for like promo, especially because they're dealing with kids. And they had the opening of book 3, which happens to be my favorite in the series. And so the people who've read the books know what I'm talking about, the middle school dads. And I was screaming. So loud at how, like, oh my God, we're finally here. You know,
that's exciting.
And I'm very excited to have that with the Cosmere too. On the other hand, as a mod and having seen some of the repercussions of a divisive adaptation,
the discourse
with the Wheel of Time, discourse capital D in fandom, I am dreading it a little bit as a mod.
Yeah,
and having that like dampen my excitement for the rest. Like,
it's true.
It's always part of the experience, whether you're moderating or not, because if you're in fan spaces, you will get the discourse. And so that's something I'm not very excited about. And I know we'll be able to deal with it. We'll have time to prepare. We had that test run of the Wheel of Time and the Cosmere fandom like overlapping a lot, which was helpful for sure. Yeah, so I have like those two things. And also, I'm like in that cautiously optimistic space of hopefully Brandon has good collaborators that help him because he's not a screenwriter.
Yeah.
We're still years away from actually seeing anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because if Brandon is spending these next 5 months on the screenplay, so he's going to spend that time, and then there's going to be a lot of editing and a lot of polishing. And like, sure, screenplays are never actually finished until, like, even the editing stages, famously, Star Wars changed a lot in editing after all of the filming was done. So that's going to happen. Yeah, that's going to happen. And then they have, I mean, all of the pre-production work, all of the casting work. And like, we know that they had done some of that before the previous Mistborn thing fell apart. Brandon has mentioned
but it doesn't matter
somewhere.
Right? Yeah, but that work doesn't carry over.
It doesn't carry over, so we have to start all over again. But that's going to take time. And then because it's a fantasy adaptation, of course, the actual production is going to take a long time. You have to like build all the sets, all the costumes, and that's very labor intensive. And then filming, and then everything that goes on in post. And again, the sheer amount of VFX this is going to take. It's going to take time, especially in an industry like this.
Yeah.
That's getting slower and slower than the like. Well, I mean, these are movies, but if you think about TV, the season every year model that used to be more prevalent before.
Totally done.
It's gonna
it's like the season every TV. It's like
time.
The 22, 24
exactly.
Season.
Yeah.
I will, however, highlight Mistborn at least is not very heavy on the VFX.
That's it's definitely not as crazy as Stormlight. It's gonna need
really crazy
work,
or not as heavy as like a lot of other fantasy. You know, you have the vast majority of your cast are humans. The magic is pretty subtle. You don't have, I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
a little tricky. The environment itself.
Yeah, it's very Earth analog.
It's very Earth analog. It's very gothic, and so there is, you know, you can't necessarily pick up like, oh, here's a noble keep from my asset library, right? But you know kind of what that looks like. And so that helps a lot.
Yeah, it's
sure.
Yeah.
You say that, but most of the noble keeps of Luthadel are based on actual buildings.
Yes,
that would be fun.
Yes.
That would be fun.
Yes. Well, although one of them burned.
But still, it's going to take a lot, especially because, I mean, clearly Apple is investing a lot of researches into this, and Brandon also is investing a lot. And so it's going to take time. We're years away from actually seeing this on our screens.
Oh, also now I'm reminded, and this is not a surprise to anyone, but Dragonsteel has been working on like an internal like visual guide and concept
that's
for
true.
years.
True.
Yeah,
that does help a lot.
Some of that heavy lifting is done because they can go.
That's true.
Here's what a Mistcloak looks like.
Yeah, with like the RPG and stuff.
That does help. Yeah. Oh my god, all the RPG art and all the concept. That's gonna help them a lot.
Plenty of concept art.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But still, actually realizing those things is gonna take some time. So cautiously optimistic, but
when do we assuming everything goes through, when do we think we are gonna be in a theater looking at this stuff? Vibes.
The 2030s.
Yeah,
like 2029, 2030 is 2029 would be very fast.
Yeah, 2029 is I think around.
Yeah, I think 4 years minimum.
Yeah. I think that's probably true. Like I think they want to do a lot of the groundwork to make sure
and I think
they do this right.
And like after that, it'll be quicker. Like doing Well of Ascension and Hero of Ages will be quicker after that. But between now and Final Empire, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah. And I mean, and a part of that is because you can do things in parallel, right? You can be finishing up post-production on movie 1 while doing things for movie 2.
And the sets will carry over, and
we need directors. We need so many more things.
Yeah,
there's no way it's not 4 years away for sure.
Yeah, I was reminded how long it took from the initial announcement of Rafe Judkins as the showrunner for Wheel of Time until we actually got our first casting news, and then until the season came out. Like it was a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rafe announcement was 2018, I think.
Oh, okay.
Let me look this up.
Quite a while. Yeah. I think I'm also the cautiously optimistic. When I read the announcement, I'm like, but then like as I was thinking about it as Wednesday progressed, I got more and more excited, and I got more hyped to see the end of Final Empire on the screen, the ash falling, the red sky, and just it could be really cool. I want them to go slowly and do it right. That seems to be what Brandon wants as well. I think if they take their time and put love and attention to it, it's not going to be the same as the books because it has to change. But I think we could get something really special like Lord of the Rings. And I think, I don't know, has there been like another big adaptation where the author is so involved ever? Has that ever happened?
Yes. So I believe it was Good Omens. Neil Gaiman was heavily involved with.
True. Yeah.
And like The Sandman was also Neil Gaiman.
Sure.
And he was loosely involved. I believe he was the actual showrunner on Good Omens.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Sure. Of course, there's other Neil Gaiman stuff, but we're not going to get into that. But
yes, it's just like, I felt better about talking about Neil Gaiman stuff at this point.
It is a true statement that happened.
Yeah. What else? I mean, Rick. Speaking of Percy Jackson, Rick Riordan has been very involved in that whole process. And
where he wasn't for the original films. From the very beginning.
No, definitely not for the original films. Those letters are infamous. Anyway, he has been very involved right now. He's learned definitely to delegate in what he's good at and what he isn't. And so he's always been involved in like casting, and I mean, he hasn't written episodes for the show, but he's worked very hand in hand with the showrunners, with Dan and John and Craig. And he's gone out to set many times and like been there for a huge amount of filming, but not all the time. Notably, I mean, and he's also been working on writing in the meantime, like the new set of books. I think that's kind of like the closest in recent memory that I can think of what Brandon would want, but I think Brandon wants more control than that.
I think he does.
Yeah.
getting into some of the other concerns that we've had based on like how it will affect book timing and all of that, if I start thinking about how much time like Rick spent on set, like in Vancouver versus back home in Boston and all of that, it worries me because it is a lot of time.
And they're probably going to go to distant locations from Utah, right? But
yeah,
let's put a pin in that. We will definitely talk about that for sure. What do we think of Apple TV as the choice? What are our feelings on that?
Loosely positive. Like, I don't have Apple TV. I have never watched any Apple TV stuff beyond like clips that show up in my like YouTube and Instagram reels.
Sure.
The doom scroll. But they have a number of shows that I do want to watch.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like they've made content I am interested in. I've just never gotten around to getting a subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Now the subscription's
Literally
always a
same.
little tough, you know, sometimes.
Yeah.
But like they did Murderbot. And I've heard good things about Murderbot.
Oh yeah, no, I have watched Murderbot. This is the one thing I've watched because I watched it with a friend. But yeah,
Severance, Foundation, Silo,
Slow
Murderbot.
Horses, which is not fantasy but very popular.
Yeah, a lot of shows that get a lot of really good buzz and people feel really positive about. Not as many shows, but it seems like the quality seems really high. I have seen one episode of Foundation, which I'm like, oh, this is different, but I did enjoy it. I'll get back to it sometime. But glad there's 3 seasons. That's fun.
It's the first thing that came to my mind when I heard Apple TV is that's probably like the only service that I can think of that I don't associate with like interruptions or cuts or anything of that nature, right? Because all the big like Amazon Prime, Netflix, HBO, Disney, like the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of them is, oh, it is this show that got canceled.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's
Shadow and Bone,
Shadow and Bone,
Wheel of Time, the recasting with The Witcher, right? Maybe Apple is going to get there one day, and they will also join kind of the mercenary way of doing things. But also, someone in staff chat described Apple TV as like a glorified marketing department for Apple, where they just throw a bunch of money to like improve the name of the brand. In which case, they wouldn't be as interested in cutting things. So, if you had come to me like 6 months ago and gone, hey, the Cosmere is getting adapted by a streaming service. Which service would you want to pick it up? I don't know if I would have picked Apple. Now, having heard that announcement, I don't think I would change that to any other service.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you hear a lot about Apple TV's shows. You don't hear a lot about Apple TV.
Yeah,
that's true.
Which is a good sign.
That is actually a good sign. You don't want to hear, Netflix is doing a crazy thing. You're like, oh God.
Netflix.
Going back to timeline 1 second, because I went back to look for the Wheel of Time timeline. So initial announcement of there was going to be a Wheel of Time show after the whole Red Eagle scuffle was 2016.
Okay.
Rafe Judkins as a showrunner, 2018, first casting announcements 2019. Show came out
2021, right?
2021.
Yeah.
So 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. It also occurred to me that Apple just doesn't have like a huge fantasy like headline show. And so I think that makes a lot of sense. Like they do a lot of sci-fi, and so I can see why Apple would be a really good fit for like a connected universe fantasy product. And I think Apple will not pull a Netflix where, it's an instant, it's not an instant hit nuked from orbit, right? Apple is gonna see it through for probably longer even if it's not necessarily economically viable. It's always possible things get canceled, but like if we get some seasons of Stormlight and then it's just like, this didn't work out. That does happen sometimes, but I do think Apple will follow through, right?
I think what's likely, because we're doing Mistborn first and then Stormlight, is we'll get the Mistborn movies, probably the whole trilogy. Seems fairly likely.
I think
and
that's
we'll get like 2 seasons of Stormlight at least if the Mistborn trilogy is successful. Is what seems most likely. And then Oathbringer on is a different question. Especially because the books themselves will be in a different point of the Cosmere. By then, I mean, we will have gotten Ghostbloods, however many War Secret projects Brandon writes amidst all of this. I mean, we don't know. But, and we'll be like very close to like, very close or like starting the second year of Stormlight by then, considering this timeline. But I think we'll get to the Mistborn movies and at least 2 seasons of Stormlight. Seems reasonable to me from what we've heard of Apple.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
The less divisive Stormlight seasons, probably.
I mean, Way of Kings and Words of Radiance they go really well. They are almost like a mini series in their own right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think they make a great little arc.
Yeah. I also think that starting with movies is interesting because they pose a very different logistical question than a show in terms of like getting canceled. And I don't know, I feel like movies have a different like reputation than shows because movies are usually more one and done. Like even if it's a film series, it seems less volatile than a TV show. So starting with Mistborn and knowing how much success that will have definitely gives Stormlight even more legs to stand on, even if that's going to be a completely different challenge in terms of production and VFX and like all these other things we know.
Yeah, it gives you, and you were touching on that, it gives you a fan base to go to, right? It's exactly the same thing that Brandon did with the Cosmere as he was writing, right? Yes, he wrote Elantris and Warbreaker and Mistborn, and by the time he was getting into Stormlight, there was already a loyal fan base that would follow him almost anywhere, even if it was in an unfamiliar location. Like, people are fans of the Cosmere more so than they are fans of Mistborn or Stormlight or Elantris.
Yeah, lots of them. Mm-hmm.
Especially with such a high learning curve. Like, it's a huge advantage for the books, and I think it'll be a big advantage for the show to have that pre-built fan base already.
Like, once you get into the Cosmere, like, it does change things. Like, I remember when I first heard about the Cosmere, and I thought, that's so weird. I'm like, is this actually a thing? Because, like, that was, like, right after Way of Kings happened. So it's like, it was so much more in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Than what it is now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean,
it wasn't the thing that it is now.
It was a cool gimmick.
Yeah, kind of.
I just hope they give the TV show a chance, because there's so many shows where it takes them a couple seasons to like find itself, get into a stride.
The good news is that Apple has a ton of money. They do have a lot of it. So if they're like, oh, we see this vision that we can have this flagship IP that really drives a lot of stuff to our streaming service, and we're making movies, I think they could really spend the time and money to give it a chance, because the reward could be so high for them, maybe.
And also, like, they're looking at, like, oh, like, this series, like, is responsible for the biggest Kickstarter of all time.
I'm sure that gives a lot of legs. It's like, hey, maybe they'll go buy a movie ticket. I'm like, they probably will. They probably will, guys. Yes.
They also backed up a $600 Kickstarter. They'll shell out $200 for popcorn.
No.
Yeah, that's how much it's going to cost in 5 years.
Well, you know,
Sounds like
maybe
that's what it costs.
Oh my
Buy a
god.
movie ticket for $10 and popcorn for 50.
it's crazy that
Yeah.
you'd go buy popcorn, in my opinion. That's crazy. I would never. You go eat lunch
You
first.
can't go to the theaters without popcorn.
That's
Oh,
true.
strong disagree. Strong disagree.
Speaking of theaters,
Yeah.
because we've had all these discussions about how much rarer theatrical releases are becoming and how much like they're having shorter runs even
Oh,
for like
yeah, sure,
really
sure, sure.
prestigious movies.
Yeah,
I mean, I do think Brandon is going to want Mistborn to be
Yeah.
in theaters.
I'm
to
sure
us,
that's in the
but
contract.
How much time, where? Because a lot of these things, when they get to theaters in these short bursts for things that are really successful in streaming and then have a short run in theaters. I mean, I'm thinking a little bit of the K-pop Demon Hunters thing where
Yeah,
they had
yeah,
a few things in theaters and it was like just in the States very
Yeah, but
short
that
time.
was-
Selected theaters. It was a weirder
that's an odd
phenomenon.
one.
It's an odd one, but even like prestigious movies are having like shorter runs. Yeah, I'm just wondering about reach.
Yeah. Apple has done F1 in theaters.
Yes, Formula One was huge.
Looking at this, it went from June 27th to at least like late August.
Okay.
Which honestly these days is pretty good because I feel like
Yeah, that's
sometimes a
good.
movie comes in theater
Yeah, I mean,
in streaming
it's
a
always
month
been-
later, to be
Formula
honest.
One though does
It's
feel a
always been
little bit
weird
like
to
an
be with, like,
exception.
A movie
but
comes
yeah.
out and it's like in theaters for 4 months. It's like, come on, who hasn't seen that?
I mean, I think the thing that gets me is if it's on streaming in a month, I'll just do that because
Yeah.
then I don't have to be around annoying people, which is pretty great, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
it is more convenient to watch it from the pleasure of my own home.
Yeah.
But like going to the theater
experience
is an experience. But particularly like growing up, like we didn't go to the movie theaters very often. Like very often is like
Yeah.
I'd see like one movie in theaters, like not because like we didn't have the money for it. It's just like
was not. Yeah.
it just didn't happen. It's like it was never
Not
a
a-
priority for us. But like, it's fun.
Yeah, I don't know, like the surround, it's different on a huge screen. And a lot of these streaming shows, for the weirdest reason, are optimized for that. I've heard the people who like were at the premiere for Percy Jackson and like saw it like on the big screen, noticing how much better the quality was there than on their own screens in terms of like lighting. The lighting was
100%
optimized
believe
for the big screen, even if very few people were gonna see it on a theater screen.
I
Yeah,
want my Mistborn movie to just be so dark that I cannot see anything.
No,
anyway.
absolutely
It's like
not.
just-
Oh my
No,
god.
Full
no.
disclosure this morning. So season 4 of Bridgerton is out. I
Yes.
started episode 3 this morning. I'm like, oh, there's something wrong because the screen is just black. I
Oh,
hear
yeah,
the thing. So like I back
Uh-huh.
out and go back in. It's like, oh no, it's just they don't understand how to light anything anymore.
I had that
So,
same
like-
experience with a certain shot.
It is
No, you-
infuriating.
Whatever episode it was, yeah.
You raise a valid point. I want not only my visuals to be so dark that I cannot see anything, I need the soundtrack to blast over all speech so that I
God,
cannot
ugh.
hear anything either.
God. Infuriating.
That makes sense. They're like the optimal viewing experience is in a pitch dark theater
Sure.
on a giant screen. It's like,
yeah.
but most of us aren't doing that.
Yeah,
Very
if you're doing it for a streaming
TV
service,
shows.
you
Yeah.
should know. I think just for me, it's like, oh, if I'm trying to see a thing near the end of its theatrical run, it's like, I mean, why would I pay $20 to do this if I could just wait 2 weeks to see it? Where like I feel like the longer lead times, I'm like, I mean, it'll still be a few months. I should probably go see it now. And like these days, that's just not a concern.
Yeah.
Because it will just be out on
But-
streaming so quick.
I just know like Superman last summer. It's like I wanted to go see that in theater, and I did, and it was like such an experience. And then like 2 weeks later, like it was out on streaming, and so like I watched it at home, and it's like I enjoyed watching it at home, but it's like big screen, like there's a magic to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
there's things in the contract for whatever Mistborn film it is that it's like not a short run thing, you know, like
Yeah.
it's a normal theatrical run these days. But who knows what the theater industry is going to be like in 4 or 5 years, which, to be fair, very valid. So I'm sure there's some flexibility there.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on this before, but what do we think about excitement for Brandon's level of involvement? Kind of separate from the books. We'll talk about the books in a second.
I am very mixed
Okay.
on this. Because, like, I do think it is valuable for authors to be involved. I do think that can provide a benefit to adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, adaptations, in my opinion, are at their best when they are transformative
Agreed.
and like do different things.
Mm.
And like an example of this is like the Princess Bride movie.
Oh, sure.
If I understand correctly,
Classic.
the whole framing like story of like the grandfather telling the grandson like this story, like that's not in the book. The book is just like the story that's being told.
Mm.
Or going back to Neil Gaiman for some reason, the movie Stardust has a completely different ending from the book, and the ending for the movie is infinitely better than what's in the book. And like if the author is like heavily involved, like I don't know how transformative you can get. Though like at the same time, Brandon wrote a treatment for Mistborn.
He's talked about
several years ago where he talked about like very significant changes, like Sean becoming Elend's sister.
Oh, right.
Definitely streamlining a lot of stuff. So like that, he was
like,
definitely doing stuff.
So like that like does give me more hope of like him not being precious like with the version of the story that's in the books. And that's also like something fans need to understand is like, you do not want a 1-to-1 transposition of the books into film. Like that would be a bad experience.
There are still comments that I see that make it sound like the closeness of the adaptation is the goal. And I think to some degree, yes, but also some degree, no, right? Like I don't want a producer to come in and totally change the essence of the story, right? Like I definitely don't want that. Yeah, I want the spirit and the heart and the feeling, and I want like the core things I remember of the book to be there. Like I think a lot of the other pieces I can move around and like, it's a different thing. It's 2.5 hours or whatever. And so I can accept that, but I want the spirit to be the same, right? Not like what Brandon was saying about Emperor's Soul being optioned and it just changed to something totally different. Like
the pirate romance.
Yeah, like the
that
pirate adventure thing. And it's just like so I think there's a balance, right? Like I do want it to be transformative and feel differently, but I don't want that with Emperor's Soul. That would be bad.
Yeah. Like if I think about examples of keeping the heart versus trying to do the same thing. I mean, notably, Winter Dragon, word for word, the prologue of the Wheel of Time, and it was
that's true.
Bad.
Yeah, that's true. All you need to do is point to Winter Dragon.
Very notably. Winter Dragon was bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I keep going back to...
That had other issues, but yes.
I mean, that had a lot of other issues. But in terms of actual events that happened in the prologue, it was very, very similar. I keep going back to Percy Jackson because that's been on the mind very recently because season 2 just finished.
It's just coming up.
And the way... I mean, Rick is very heavily involved in that. So I think that's kind of like my gold standard for author very involved, but also transformative and interesting and keeps the soul. So I think the theme work in Percy Jackson has been really interesting. The question of who is the monster is a theme that has gone on like through the later books in the series beyond what's been adapted, but like thinking about Heroes of Olympus and Trials of Apollo, and actually more recently with the Nico D'Angelo adventures. And that was very heavily in season 1. The whole way they're treating the gods is different, but I think it's way more nuanced since the beginning, which wasn't there so much in the early books because that's something that developed as it was written. So you can do that with hindsight of a finished series.
That's
and be
true.
like,
You can do things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that reminded me of a series of unfortunate events. There was an awful movie and then a very good 3-season series. They changed they added a whole bunch to like the earlier season of like VFD, that like stuff that like slowly gets like dribbled in the later books, like as like the Baudelaire children become more aware of it. But like they bring all of that forward to make a more cohesive whole. So like that's like something you can do like really well.
Yeah, and like Brandon is already so good at foreshadowing. I think that this would have just enhanced that.
Yeah, the example that just popped into my mind is, hey, if you're doing a Way of Kings TV show, Moash needs, like, you need that relationship with Moash and Kaladin. And like, I feel like you can just make that more prominent, and that is different than Way of Kings, because like it's there, but like it's not prominent, I would say, in Way of Kings. And I think the whole series would be better if you had more of that, right? Like that's a thing you could change that would be good.
Or I think like smoothing out Shalon's arc so it's a little bit less jumpy.
Yeah, that'd probably be good.
I mean, that's something you can do in hindsight.
Yeah.
Give Amaram more screen time so his sudden shift to I am super villain now.
That was the other one I was thinking of.
We can go into examples.
We could do a whole episode on that for sure.
One thing I want to contribute, I generally agree with everything that's been said so far, but I also want to point out Brandon's like writing style is very cinematic.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
Which I think helps with him working on a screenplay, because it wouldn't be as much of a shift for him to like think about the camera and the lighting and like where characters are relative to one another and like how the action sequences are going to work out. Obviously, there is a lot more to screenwriting than just that, but that aspect, at least, he is not entirely unfamiliar with.
Yeah, I think in terms of like aspects of screenwriting, what worries me the most with Brandon is the concept of shorthand, because notably these books aren't short.
He's got
deadlines
there.
Notably verbose. A lot of people have said, even in the books, is that Brandon feels the need to like repeat himself and say these things. And I think this was the main thing, my main issue with the way he talked about the Wheel of Time and what changes he would make, is that a lot of those changes aren't doable in a screen format, and that's why they made the choices they made. So I keep thinking about wheel takes and how, I mean, both Ali and Gus are industry experts. I mean, they work in the industry. And so they talked about how that changed from episode 1 that so many people were mad about, where Brandon suggested it should be his... the person that teaches him blacksmithing, I'm forgetting the word right now, the person he's apprenticed to, Perrin, instead of this new character of a wife they created. And like, yes, Brandon, I understand where you're coming from with that logic, but setting that up in an episode that already has so much to do, it just takes too much time. It's too complicated. And so there were things about that scene, that first scene where we see Layla, that it's just shorthand. Like you see the image of her like hugging Perrin like that, and it's like, oh, it's his wife. Maybe she's pregnant. Nobody knows. And it's just immediately obvious. You don't need to do any setup of like, oh, what's the relationship between these two people?
Sure.
Just take 2 seconds. And I think that's something Brandon struggles with in the books and also in the way he's talked about The Wheel of Time as an adaptation. And so that's what worries me the most in terms of like screenwriting craft with Brandon.
Yeah, like I know Brandon's comments on the Wheel of Time show have been divisive.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are definitely some things I agree with him on, and then some things where I'm like, Brandon, like I don't think you actually know what you're talking about here, and also like you shouldn't be saying these things so publicly.
That's also
yeah.
true. Yes.
Yeah.
With the Wheel of Time, I think the problem is he is too much of a fan.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly what I was.
And I think
and
that problem doesn't
is-
quite exist with the Cosmere. I think he can be more objective, which is ironic, because it's not.
It's funny, but yeah, I agree.
He's more willing to make structural changes because he made the thing.
Mhm.
And it's
because
kind of
he
his
didn't-
own thing, right? Whereas the Wheel of Time is this external
Something
thing.
he
and
wants to protect that he was a fan of for so long. Even if he contributed, he has more of a relationship with the Wheel of Time as a fan than as a writer.
Yeah.
And you can see this in the way he's talked about his treatments of Mistborn before. He's willing to make bigger changes there than...
Yeah.
So that's my hope, which is why I am, again, cautiously optimistic, but fingers crossed.
I think at this stage, Brandon probably knows many good screenwriters, perhaps personally at this stage. That seems probable. And he can probably just call them up and, I feel like
I
other
would
people
expect that people will, like, I don't think that his version of the script is the script that will, like, I think professionals will be looking over this stuff. And it's just a question of who's going to write the first draft. And in this case, it's Brandon.
Yeah. Still, like 5 months is a long time.
Yeah. And if people are willing to say no, that's the biggest thing. Like how many, like the yes men thing is like, yes, Brandon has this level of control, but like hopefully people are willing to push back.
Yeah, I don't want like a George Lucas prequel situation, where like some people, maybe you could push back a little bit and the thing would be better,
Exactly.
I love that it had a lot of vision, and Brandon is he's a visionary guy. He's an idea machine, right? For sure. But yeah, it will be interesting to see him collaborate so heavily, I think, because necessarily he has to collaborate with directors, right? Like no matter how much he is involved, he's not in the director's chair. He definitely doesn't have that skill set, right? And so the director has so much control over a lot of things, right? So it will just inherently be so much more collaborative than any novel ever could be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So how worried are you guys about mainline book progress with 5 months on the Mistborn screenplay? I will say Brandon did have a Reddit reply. I didn't actually put this in my video because I didn't see it. But Brandon said, yes, if this delays Elantris sequels, I have to live with that. It will not delay Mistborn or Stormlight, but it might impact secret projects. Freefall, 7-layer burrito world, we hardly knew thee.
RIP, Freefall burrito world.
So that does make it sound like Brandon's like, I will do everything in my power to get the main Cosmere books, Mistborn and Stormlight, on schedule, no matter what.
Yeah.
My stance is like, that's an impossible thing to say.
It does sound impossible.
Whether or not like it's because of movie stuff or whatever, it's like, who knows what the future will bring.
Yeah.
To see the future is a podium, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, I'm happy that like he is taking at least that much of a stance.
Yeah.
As has been discussed on the podcast before, I am always in favor of new stories rather than Brandon spending more time on old stories. As-
Of White Sand.
Is this a Veiled White Sand reference? Absolutely. Check that off on your Shardcast
Bingo.
Bingo card.
5 months is a long time. I'm like,
5 months is a secret
Okay.
project.
My thought is just Brandon farts out news stories for breakfast anytime he can.
Dude, that's
he is
true.
he'll be writing this screenplay and then he'll be like, oh no, here's this idea that I can't get out of my head. So, oh yeah, my full-time work, but then I'm going to spend 4 more hours
Yeah.
and I'll work 12 hours a day and then I will have another thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah. So like his comment about like, oh, like this will impact secret projects. Like, I don't think it's going to impact secret
I don't
projects.
think so.
I think
don't
we're still
think
going to get. I think it's more likely it is going to impact like
Elantra sequels.
more
yeah.
substantial things like the Elantris sequels.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
So, like the things that are going to take time.
Yeah.
And that may also include Mistborn and Stormlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I think that secret projects will be less affected than Elatrace and the Warbreakers and even Mistborn and Stormlight. I think secret projects will be the least affected out of all of them. Funnily enough.
I mean, I'll disagree. I will take Brandon's word kind of at face value
I
here.
mean, I think he will try. Just how much will it actually happen is the question.
I think he is cognizant of his ultimate deadline for the Cosmere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that is true.
And that means he has to plan out all of the Mistborns and all of the Stormlights because that's the backbone of the Cosmere, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's why Elantris is getting pushed to the side of the road a little bit. That's why Nightblood is getting pushed to the side of the road. In terms of impact on like special projects, I think the way this is going to work out is we as external audience never know how many stories Brandon did not write.
That's true. That is true.
And so I think the way that's going to play out is we are going to continue seeing the occasional secret project, which other authors just call a book that I wrote. But for some reason, they're secret.
Okay, Brandon.
So I think we're going to continue seeing those. But where in a world without adaptation, we might have gotten like, just to throw a number on it, 3 in the course of a 5-year span, we are now going to get 2 over the course of a 5-year span or something like that. And so from the outside, we are still getting surprise books out of nowhere. That's very exciting. And we just never know the world in which there was an extra surprise book here and there.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be okay.
Good way of phrasing it.
On your point about taking Brandon at his word, I think we can all agree Brandon is a very disciplined writer.
Yes.
When he has a deadline, he will grind. And if he knows that,
for better or for worse.
For better or for worse.
Yes.
Maybe, maybe if, he's working on scripts for things, maybe he does need to delay a book just so the book is, what it needs to be.
Better.
But I could imagine maybe his brain is like, oh, here would be this fun other thing I can do, but I can't do that. I need to work on this Hollywood stuff, but also I need to work on the next Ghostblood book, right? And he's going to do that.
Yeah.
He is a very disciplined person. I can't think of a more disciplined writer.
No, yeah, I agree.
It's less that I'm not taking him at his word. It's just this is very early in the process, and I don't know if he fully knows how this is going to impact.
I think that's true.
But if
Brandon was also very
adamant either.
In the beginning of Stormlight, it's that they were going to be shorter, that it was only 18 months between books, and that just wasn't realistic. And over the course of the series, he realized I really need 3 years between books for And it's like, I think like a couple years from now, like he'll have a much better sense of how this is going to impact the grand schedule, and we'll get a more accurate schedule at that.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I think Ghostbloods is a good time for Brandon to start balancing this. I think the thing
That's
I'm
true.
worried about is Stormlight books, because Brandon
I'm worried about
said
Stormlight. Yeah.
that just like Stormlight books just annihilate him, you know, and like I don't know how much Hollywood stuff he can do when he is in Stormlight mode. Whereas Ghostbloods, I do think, I mean, these are still bigger epic fantasy books that are like Era 1 sized, right? But I think they're more straightforward than Stormlight.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the timing works out, right? He's probably going to try to avoid doing a lot of Hollywood work in the middle of like a Stormlight, right? He can probably balance Stormlight revisions with Hollywood work, no problem.
Well, not if he's doing a 2-month Wind and Truth draft, that's for sure. you don't get to do anything else with your life if you do that.
Well, but that was revision number 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, this is also going to get into, he has good control over his schedule. That's how that syncs up to Hollywood schedule.
Schedule, yeah.
Sometimes it's going to work out great and sometimes it's not.
Like, and there's... Yeah. It's one thing for Brandon's company and all of the people he runs. A production is insane. And it's like, we need the thing now, right? You know?
Yeah.
So that's
especially because book publishing a little bit on the other side, but Hollywood is a lot of like hurry up and wait kind of situation of like when things are going, they are really going and they are full speed ahead. And then there's a lot of waiting, a lot of like holding pattern of like when things can't go for whatever reason. So syncing those two things is what you're worried about, and I agree. We don't know how exactly on what timeline these things are going to be. Again, modern Hollywood is kind of unpredictable in that sense. How production schedules are going to line up with Stormlight schedules, and they're not always going to be at the most convenient times of the year, and what's going to happen with Nexus, and book publishing timelines. I mean, Brandon generally publishes in the winter, like it's always like November, December times, because those are like the big publishing months.
Sure. And
like when filming happens, depending on like what's convenient, depending on just pre-production times, like there's so much stuff to balance that, and so many other people to take into account. Dragonsteel in the end is a small company that works around Brandon's schedule.
Yes.
Not Brandon having to adjust himself to a massive not company, but a massive production, a massive set that. I mean, who knows how much he's going to have to travel, you know? He talked about when he revealed the initial secret projects of how much time travel took away from him. And like, yes, this is different than tour, but having to travel
it's very different.
It's
very different.
It's different, but it's also a lot of time that is going to be invested differently. And like, even for promotion purposes, right? You have to do all these junkets and go to all the different premieres. Like, it's not just going to be one event like Nexus. You're going to have your LA premiere. You're going to have your London premiere.
He's going to want to really make the first thing. He's going to want that to be a big deal. He will make himself available for press things for the first Mistborn book because he wants it to be on a good footing. But of course,
that's going to like impact the schedules on everything else.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Brandon's literally working all the time on, when he's doing Stormlight, he is 100% on Stormlight. I think splitting his attention is going to be challenging. But
now, like, when I say like I think things are going to be affected, it's like things are going to be pushed like a year or two. It's not. Like, I do not anticipate a George R. R. Martin situation.
No, not at all.
Like, that's just so implausible for
unless something catastrophic happens.
Yeah. Like, there is some doomering in our comments, and I'm not feeling doomering.
No.
Yeah, no.
He's not George R. R. Martin. Brandon is an outlier. He's incredibly disciplined, and he will hit his release targets. Again, for better or worse, right? I think it's fair if people are disappointed that some of these other novels might not happen for a screen adaptation. I think there's definitely people who are like, I don't really care about an adaptation. Just give me the books. And I think that's a reasonable perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Of course I want more of the books, obviously. But I know that this isn't Brandon selling out. He thinks so cinematically that he thinks it's incredibly cool. Right. And I think that's kind of the main thing, that he's like, oh my God, my stuff's a movie. That's amazing. You know?
Yeah. And it's like, he's wanted an adaptation for so long. So if nothing else, is like, I do want this for Brand.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm going to have a lot of fun, like seeing Mistborn on screen. Like it's going to the World Hopper Ball in 2024 and seeing the videos from the World Hopper Ball in 2025. It's like seeing these characters as actors was so fun.
Yeah.
It's really
and
neat.
that's just like a small taste of what a movie or a TV show would be.
Imagine $200 million of resources to that. It's like, okay. Yeah. I'm pretty excited though. I do think I want just I want to see the cool stuff. I want to see Mistborn. I want to see what Stormlight looks like.
Oh my God, yeah.
And the budget's got to be insane.
Yeah, what's getting me excited right now, like having those visuals. Like, we'll worry about the story later when we have more information about like what's gonna happen. But like starting to picture the visuals of like the Mistborn keeps or the costumes in Stormlight. Or even the balls, like, oh my God, the Mistborn balls are gonna be amazing.
Oh, I cannot wait for Ellen's magnificent balls.
Like, oh, it's gonna be so good. Like those things.
With the Bridgerton folks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
speaking of Bridgerton folks, can we get the casting director for Bridgerton, who also worked on the Wheel of Time, to cast the Cosmere, please? She's very talented.
She does seem very talented.
Don't get me too excited, Verónica, thinking about full Mistborn balls on screen. I'm getting too excited. I need to temper my excitement because I think it's also important that this could die at any time.
Oh yes,
any
yes,
time.
I'm well aware of that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Just like I think like those are the things that are easier to get me excited about because it's the visual. It's the things that we're going to get that are going to be cool, regardless of exactly what happens with the story or who's going to be cast, because fan casts are always like, oh, the famous people. And I'm like, we're probably going to get more unknowns, which is what I'd want.
Henry Cavill as Vin.
Perfect casting.
Vin Diesel as Vin.
You know, it's transformative, that's for sure. Not in a good way, but I think there'll probably be like maybe some big stars, but mostly unknowns or not.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the Wheel of Time had a good balance of, hey, we've got a couple of big names that are like really carrying the publicity and the marketing aspect of things, and also like coaching the younger actors and like
it's
acclimated
like,
to things. And also we have a bunch of young talent that is kind of understudying again under these big names, and also like have good acting chops in their own right.
Yeah.
So like I can see like a Kelsier or a Lord Ruler being like a big name.
Yeah.
But like Vin should be
Ellen. Ellen should be an unknown.
Well, I don't necessarily think it necessarily needs to be an unknown, but not like
not
A-list star, right? You
A-list star. Yeah.
Not Chris Pratt for Sorry.
Chris Bradford kills here.
Anything. I think it's important to remember the books will still exist for us. Even if Mistborn goes terribly and it turns out to be bad, which is very possible. I think there's a lot
I would say unlikely. I think given the way the stars are aligned, I think the worst I expect is mid.
Yeah, that's honestly probably fair. It's not going to be trash, but
it's not going to be the Percy Jackson movies.
Yeah, and so I don't see an adaptation as like ruining the books, in my opinion. Right.
And I think that's the healthy way to think of it. I know it can be difficult to divorce, because it's yes, it's an adaptation. Yeah, it's a movie, but it's Vin. It's Kelsier. It's
for sure.
It's the characters that we love, but like we don't love them, and it's the story that we love, but we don't love. So yeah, I think it's good to try and think of it this way. I want to recognize that, especially where like properties we're passionate about, that requires concerted effort.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the thing where like the healthy way of being a fan is to love the parts you love and don't think about the parts that aren't as good. And just like find the goodness in it. Like BBC's Merlin.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Sherlock. Okay.
No, Sherlock. BBC's Merlin. I love that show. It had a very strong fan base. There's a lot of that, not a very good show, but the parts of it that are good are the things we latch on to.
Just like, just close our eyes and think about Andor. Just it's like, at the same time, I don't want to be a doomer because I do think there's a lot of big upside. Like if I doubt we're going to get something that has the cultural impact of like the first few seasons of Game of Thrones where everyone's talking about it. Media's too splintered these days.
Yeah, it's not the way media works these days.
That said, a lot of Apple shows get a lot of hype. Like, they honestly do. A lot of people talking about Severance, for example, right? It can bring a lot of people into the books and stuff and into the fold, and then they watch Mistborn and be like, oh, what's that about? And then they go down and they read the Coppermind.
It's exciting to see those first-time reactions. Like one of my friends from the figure skating world has been reading Mistborn and is now on The Way of Kings. And he has this little thread, like buried in the middle of a figure skating Discord. He's reacting, and I'm like,
I'm interested.
He's just got it into part 2 of Way of Kings. I like these reactions are so fun knowing what's coming, and it's so nice to see those things. It's just something you as a fan never get to see again.
Yeah,
I mean, not only first time reactions, but also people who aren't immersed in all the discourse and all the theories. Like again, I was talking to someone from the Creative Writing Society earlier and about Wind and Truth, and I asked him and he asked me about the ending, and I was talking about it, and I went into how we'd been theorizing about certain aspects of that for years, and it had been part of the fandom discussion. He was like, oh, really? And so those are experiences that if you don't know coming into it, it changes your experience fundamentally. And so that's why it's so fun to see first-time reader reactions. And I think that's something we're going to get with the show. Not only for people who've never read the books, but also people who watch the show and then go read the books. And then we get their first-time reader reactions to the books. And I think that's one of the things that's really fun about adaptation, getting to show my friends the Cosmere, because they're never going to read the books, but they might watch the movies or Stormlight as a show or whatever.
Easier to invest 2 hours into a movie than 20 hours into a book.
It just is. Yeah. And there is so much rich Cosmere stuff that can be adapted. So we're talking Mistborn and Stormlight, but there's a lot of room for a lot of interesting stuff. if this goes well, and I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up earlier, and the conversation moved in a different direction. But I was thinking about kind of the measures for success in modern, television and movies and stuff like that. And obviously, the MCU is the most obvious comparison to the Cosmere.
Yeah, absolutely.
For reasons. And I was thinking about, okay, well, the MCU doesn't quite do the Cosmere thing because, like, Cosmere is very series oriented, or like at least the backbone of the Cosmere is very series oriented. And yeah, Mistborn Era 1 and Mistborn Era 2 are, they are kind of separate things. But I was thinking earlier when I think, Verónica, you were talking about the idea that, we're probably going to get the Era 1 trilogy and we'll probably get at least a couple of seasons of Stormlight. And my brain was going, oh, okay, so we get a couple of seasons of Stormlight. Let's say show gets canceled or whatever. What does that mean for Era 2 movies? What does that mean for Era 3 movies? Like, because there are, once we start crossing the streams of the Cosmere, then how do you adapt, if Era 1 depends on Storm and like reveals in Stormlight, or there's Era 1, Era 5 depends on things in Stormlight 10, but the Stormlight 10 TV show episode season doesn't happen. How, like, and so that got me thinking about the MCU, where a lot of things are, yes, there is connective tissue, right? WandaVision, kind of weird if you haven't seen, Wanda's story, but also it kind of does stand on its own a little bit, and a lot of
as someone who hadn't seen Wanda's movies before
wow.
watching WandaVision, it worked
wow.
great.
Wow.
Or like, that's a lie. I had seen Endgame, so like,
sure.
That,
well,
I've never seen Age of Ultron.
That's fine. That's fine.
But
a lot of watch that again without anything else.
A lot of MCU is a little bit standalone-y, right? I'm thinking like the Hawkeye show, for example. It's it benefits from you knowing, who some of these characters are, but you can just kind of watch it on its own. And so all of that got me thinking, okay, well, the Cosmere is full of standalone stories, and they work way better than the MCU. So, like, in other words, we don't necessarily need like a 10-season Stormlight show.
Yeah.
We can have, a one-season Trust show. We can have an Elantris movie. We can have a 2-season Yumi show or whatever. So, like, because there are so many stories in the Cosmere to pick from, and because you can adapt a lot of those stories in different ways, we have the ability to like not commit super hard to the backbone and like be forced to get that done in the same way that Brandon is forced to get it done for the books.
Yeah, and
so
I also
it's more just like Cosmere as a shared universe of stories, like rather than like the through line that is
the Cosmere saga,
the story of the Cosmere.
Yeah.
And like, I think I would like that. Because like it puts less pressure on every single part.
And it's also like, how do you, actors age? Someone floated the idea of, and it was not exactly in this shape, but I adapted it in the spirit of this conversation. The first arc of the Stormlight books can be one show, and the second arc can literally be a different show. And you can,
because we have the time skip.
Not only do you have the time skip, but also it gives you like this cut in the middle where you can go, okay,
full story.
We're just gonna do a different like actors for this.
And like
that's okay.
There's like, if you gave it like a different name and a different feel, I think audiences can accept like recasting if you're like doing it very intentionally, right?
I don't know.
I don't know how much I like that,
Yeah.
but like, there's a lot of possibilities, and I don't
Yeah.
think we know how it's going
It
to
feels
go.
weird. I agree, but it's
yeah,
doable.
no, for sure.
But
for
it's how many years are we away from that? Like, we have time. And the other thing is like, people like because of the Wheel of Time cancellation have been talking about like how long is it going to be until Hollywood gives it a chance again? Because like as much as I've been super pro like Save Watt and all of those things, it's a whole thing. It has baggage. I don't think the Cosmere works like that. And like so even if Stormlight gets canceled, you have all these other things like you were saying, Evgeni, because they're inherently different. Like yes, it's gonna have more of a risk if like Stormlight gets canceled, and because that will be huge news if it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the nature of the beast, but it's not so much the same again because they're so different.
You know, it's
Like,
a little
Atreus is
Tress animated.
Very
thing.
different than
Yeah.
Stormlight, so it's like there's not so much pressure if something gets canceled. It's not the end for however many years, you know.
That's how we get Snapshot movie.
Wow. bringing it back to
Notably, I don't know if
Snapshots.
Apple has the rights to.
That's true. Yeah.
Yay.
Cosmere.
That's Cosmere.
We don't know. Okay, let's start ending this episode. There is a couple other things that I think we want to mention. Brandon, in typical Brandon fashion, was unable to stay off Reddit.
Of course.
when that announcement dropped. And he did answer a few questions and responded to a few comments, one of which had to do with, well, I'll just read it because it's not very long. Into Night, a Reddit user, Into Night, asked, how do you think they'll best handle the huge amounts of content well in Stormlight Archive if they traditionally do 8 to 10 episode seasons? And Brandon says, there is a reason I've been studying Tolkien lately. Peter Jackson and his team did a brilliant job on that. And if you look at the special editions, they are roughly about the length of a season of a show together, covering about the same word count as a Stormlight book. It feels like they knew exactly
I guess.
what to keep and cut.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which I think is an interesting, that's, okay, it's interesting that you're keeping this in mind.
I do like that he's looking to like great adaptations and just
The
like
gold
really
standard.
really analyzing what happened. I think that's great.
Yeah, and seeing that, like, yeah, you can cut significant portions out of a book and it still be the story in a true and fundamental way.
Though at the same time, Lord of the Rings, like the books, Helm's Deep is not nearly as big of a thing as like in the movies.
Yeah.
and things.
Yeah, like
so
stuff
like
gets shifted around, but like removing the scoring of the Shire is significant.
it is.
Yeah.
Tom Bombadil, much less significant. The whole
they're
thing
gonna
with the
cut
Wild
Floyd.
Men and Gone Bury Gone, not important at all. Totally don't miss that.
Yeah, I guess my thought is like Lord of the Rings is kind of just written differently than more modern things are, right? So we do need to just keep that in mind. But I do agree that these are great case studies, right? Of just what you can
And
do.
the word count is interesting. Keeping in mind that a Lord of the Rings movie script is like a season script.
Well, no,
so
he's talking about like the 3 movies together are a season.
Yeah, and
I
Lord
see.
of the
Okay.
Rings, the series is like a word count of a Stormlight book.
Just kind of insane.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
like, that makes sense because like conceptually, Lord of the Rings is one book.
It's
just
yeah.
published in 3
Yeah, that's
volumes.
true. That's true.
And like a Stormlight book is a trilogy of novels published as one.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting to think about. One comment that I wanted to bring up was at least part of me was worried I'll be like Christopher Lee's generation, waiting their whole lives for the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy, which Christopher Lee was waiting decades and wanted to play Gandalf read them yearly. So
that is
So
and he didn't play Gandalf.
No, he didn't play Gandalf, but it is cool if we actually get it. I think. You know, and we don't have to
Yeah.
wait 50 years for it. And the author's still alive to
Mm-hmm.
be involved. I think that's cool.
And hopefully his involvement will mean that at least people cannot complain too much about
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
Oh, yeah, I did.
the
yeah.
creative vision.
People will complain, but
Well,
there's a little bit more of a trump
yeah,
card.
I mean, there's going to be, they forced him to do that. But at least that lowers it a bit.
Or at the very least, it could be, Brandon didn't understand what I loved about the story, which, like, I think that could totally be a reasonable thing that
That's
happens.
100% true about
That's
books.
already happening.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just saying, like, even more, right? But you at least can't say that this wasn't the author's vision for the adaptation, right? That specific criticism you can't have, because it's like, no, this is how I wanted it to be. Like, okay,
Whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
it's how
Yeah.
Brandon wanted it to be.
yep. So I think that's a great note to wrap on. I'm sorry for this shorter episode. We scheduled this late, and so we're going to talk more about adaptations, guys.
Yeah,
There's so
we
much
have
more
how
we could
many
talk about.
years?
We did do an adaptation episode where we probably talked about a lot of the same things there.
Probably.
We'll talk more as things progress. I know our next episode is going to be WOBs, and they're going to be much longer episodes, so don't worry. These sub 2-hour episodes are not going to be the Shardcast norm here.
Well, unless
No.
unless the adaptation stream gets rescheduled
True,
soon,
and
it's
it was
like
crazy.
huge news, and we
It-
have
it
to
could-
do an emergency broadcast.
It's possible, but the plan is to do Words of Brandon, but then Wednesday happened. But I just wanted to let you know that the short episodes aren't the norm. It's just like, that's what we had to do here. So,
Short episode.
Yeah.
I mean, this will add it down to under 90 minutes. That's weird for us. Let's be honest.
What is this, 2018?
So you can find us at 17shard.com for all news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever want. Lots of excitement in the Cosmere adaptation forum thread. Lots. Forum hopping. As well as the Discord, of course. Discord.gg slash 17shard. Lots of discussion. Days and days of it. Yeah. And, if you like our stuff, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/17shard for as little as $1 a month. Sorry, I couldn't do Who's That Cosmic Character. I have to go be a Dustbringer in an RPG thing. So that's what I have to do. So it's my fault today. But we'll see you all.
Not Diceborn.
Not
Just
Diceborn.
saying that now. Not Diceborn.
Yeah, that's true. It's for fun. It is not Diceborn recording. It's just a
Speaking of
predetermined
Diceborn,
engagement.
though,
Yes.
you can go watch
That's airing.
Diceborn. Season 2 came out.
Season 2
starting
came
to come
out,
out.
and actually pretty good views, all things considered.
I need
For-
to watch it.
Nice.
I haven't had
So-
time.
It certainly starts with a bang.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
that's what
the
the
title.
episode is called.
That's the title. So, yeah, go check that out. Come talk about adaptations in the comments. Put your thoughts below on all your thoughts. I've really enjoyed reading the comments.
Tell
as
us
well.
your most cursed Mistborn fan casting. Just one
Yeah,
character,
sure. Yes.
the worst.
Terry
worst.
Crews as Vin.
I said worst, not best.
True. True.
I mean, it'd certainly be a visionary experience.
Transformative, like Evgeni said.
Transformative. That's right.
Yeah, that's what
And so-
we aim for.
And so we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Caw.